Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. EU looks to avert Trump's Greenland tariffs, prepares retaliation to mull options at an emergency summit planned in Brussels on Thursday. President Trump to bring broad US footprint to Davos World Economic Forum after a gap of 6 years. India to focus on digital innovation and sustainable energy transitions at the forum. UAE President Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to visit India on Monday to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar meets Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister of Poland Radoslaw Sikorski in New Delhi. European leaders continue to weigh their response to US President Donald Trump's tariff threats over Greenland. The EU leaders will convene an extraordinary summit in Brussels on Thursday to discuss the bloc's response to the United States. The leaders have already decided to defend against any form of coercion while continuing to engage constructively with the US. Meanwhile, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and other members said on Sunday that the EU and Britain stand firm in their commitment to uphold the sovereignty of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark.
Dit is niet hoe bondgenoten met elkaar omgaan.
This is not how allies should treat each other. And in that sense, I understand the word blackmail. Yes, absolutely. We have until February 1st to really present a united front to make it clear that we do not find this acceptable. And we also have stated that as far as we are concerned, the territorial integrity and self-determination of Greenland and Denmark are not up for discussion. But we also believe that the use of trade tariffs in this way is inappropriate and moreover unnecessary. So that will be our message.
Tanden laten zien.
Zeker.
Spoken to the Prime Minister of Greenland, and there's a full commitment, not surprisingly, as is appropriate, of NATO partners to the security of Greenland. That's the right way to address this security, and the right way, finish and then hand back in terms of whether it's development of critical minerals, is to develop in partnership.
Trump has said that Denmark has not been able to do anything to get the Russian threat away from Greenland and said that it will be done and it is time now. Trump has in fact repeatedly insisted that he will settle for nothing less than the ownership of Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark. Leaders of both Denmark and Greenland have insisted that the island is not for sale and does not want to be part of the United States. So over the weekend, President Donald Trump reiterated his demands for Denmark to sell Greenland, and the battle over the world's largest island is now also having an economic impact in the region. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin on the story. Lars, what can you tell us about what's going on?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, what a wild weekend it was. On Friday, Germany and some other European countries sent a handful of troops to Greenland. It was not in an effort to engage in any takeover games. It was, in fact, in an effort to show US President Trump that Europe would be willing to take Greenland and its strategic position more seriously in future, to show that Europe can handle whatever Trump thinks might be a threat to Greenland. However, Trump saw the arrival of these troops as a European aggression, as a sign, and now that part is certainly true, that Europe would support Denmark in keeping Greenland instead of having to sell it to the US. And Trump reacted immediately by levying new tariffs on Germany, France, Britain, and a few other nations. 10% for now, 25% starting in June, and until, quote, a deal is done for the US to acquire Greenland.
Okay, Lars, also tell us, is the EU now preparing for retaliatory actions?
Well, utter shock and disbelief. And the EU called for an emergency meeting over the weekend where they quickly agreed on counter tariffs worth some $95 billion. That is tariffs on bourbon, on airplane parts, on soybeans, and on chicken. These exact tariffs have often been discussed. As a matter of fact, most recently, they were shelved after the EU did sign a trade agreement with the US in summer, a trade agreement that had very friendly terms for the US, by the way, and that was often called a capitulation by the EU. So now these terms are out of the window too. And it becomes so clear that the US under Trump is not pursuing a broader trade strategy, but that terms virtually change overnight. And that has even members of Trump's Republican Party alarmed now.
Thank you very much, Lars, for all those updates. Lars Holter joining me from DW in Berlin. Updates next on the anti-immigration and customs enforcement ICE protests in the United States. ICE agents continued their raids in St. Paul area of Minnesota. Increasingly tense confrontations between residents and federal officers have erupted in Minneapolis since Rennie Good was fatally shot by an ICE officer on January 7th. In another incident, protesters, including postal workers, rallied outside a Minneapolis post office calling on U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to stop using postal property for its operations. The protest followed rising tensions after Trump warned to invoke the Insurrection Act, accusing the state leaders of failing to rein in attacks on immigration officers. While Pentagon has ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers in Alaska to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota, the Insurrection Act enables use of the military to suppress armed rebellion or domestic violence. And on to West Asian crisis now. Well, US President Donald Trump on Sunday invited Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi to be part of the Board of Peace that will work towards bringing lasting peace into Gaza. US Ambassador to India Sergio Gore shared on social media President Trump's invitation letter to Prime Minister Modi. In the letter, Trump said, "It is my great honor to invite you as the Prime Minister of the Republic of India to join me in a critically historic and magnificent effort to solidify peace in the Middle East and at the same time to embark on a bold new approach to resolving this global conflict." Trump, in his letter, referred to his September 29th announcement of a comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict as well as his 20-point roadmap to bring peace in the region. The invitation comes as the US administration moves forward with formalizing the Board of Peace structure linked to Trump's broader Gaza roadmap and vision for peace in the region. On to Syria now. The Syrian government and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces agreed on an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire on all fronts on Sunday. Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara on Sunday announced the truce, with the chief of the Kurdish-led forces taking almost full control of the country and dismantling the Kurdish-led forces that controlled the northeast for over a decade. Speaking in Damascus, Syrian President al-Shara said that the deal would allow Syrian state institutions to reassert control over 3 eastern and northern governorates, Al-Hasaq, Dar ez-Zor and Raqqa. Under the agreement signed by al-Shara and Abdi, Syrian authorities will take over civilian institutions, border crossings and oil and gas fields that have underpinned Kurdish self-rule. The agreement will also see the Kurdish administration and forces integrate into the state after months of stalled negotiations on the issue. Syrian Kurdish leader Mazloum Abdi, in a televised address, said that he agreed to the deal to avoid a broader conflict. Abdi said he is set to meet Shara in Damascus on Monday. Meanwhile, US envoy Tom Barrack on Sunday called the ceasefire agreed to by the Syrian government and the Syrian Democratic Forces a pivotal inflection point Barak, who had met Kurdish leaders in Erbil in northern Iraq, was holding talks with Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara in Damascus over the latest developments as Washington urged the two sides to de-escalate. Polish Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar in New Delhi on Monday. The two leaders discussed India-Poland strategic partnership. During his opening remarks, India's External Affairs Minister said that bilateral relations have progressed over the past few years, and he said that they would review the action plan 2024 to 2028 and seek to realize the full potential of strategic relations between India and Poland.
Today, Deputy Prime Minister, we would review the Action Plan 2024-28, through which we seek to realize the full potential of our strategic partnership. We will also discuss ways to take forward our cooperation in trade and investment, defense and security, clean technologies, and digital innovation. Poland is one of India's largest trading partners in Central Europe. Our bilateral trade, I believe, stands at about $7 billion, having registered a growth of almost 200% in the past decade. Indian investment in Poland has surpassed $3 billion, creating a number of job opportunities for Poles. India's strong economic growth, size of its market, and pro-investment policies provide immense opportunity for Polish businesses. In recent past, both in New York last September and in Paris this January, I have candidly shared our views on the Ukraine conflict and its implications. While doing so, I have also repeatedly underlined that the selective targeting of India is both unfair and unjustified. I do so again today. Poland should display zero tolerance for terrorism and not help fuel the terrorist infrastructure in our neighborhood.
On his part, Polish Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski reiterated Poland's support in India's fight against cross-border terrorism.
Personally, I have been to India many times before, both privately and officially, but for the first time since the establishment by our prime ministers of the strategic partnership. And as you said, we want to review the progress and the perspectives. We seem to be the dynamic countries in our regions, and therefore we should explore the opportunities that there are. We are also countries that were colonized in the 19th century, so we have particular sensitivities in that area. I completely agree with you on the need to counter transnational, trans-border terrorism. Poland, as you may have heard, has been a victim of both arsons and attempted state terrorism. I also completely agree with you on the unfairness of selective targeting by tariffs, and we in Europe know something about that also, and we fear that this is progressing to a global trade turbulence. We are hoping that India will continue to stay engaged in Europe. We've noticed that you are establishing embassies everywhere in Europe, which means that you are serious about relations with the European Union.
You're watching DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. At least 39 killed in two high-speed trains collision in southern Spain. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez terms it a night of deep pain. Japanese Prime Minister Sane Takaichi will announce plans today to dissolve parliament for a snap election.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You are watching DD India Newshour. I am Tanvi Taneja. The World Economic Forum annual meeting 2026 is set to begin in Davos on Monday. The 5-day summit will run until January 23rd. The event is being held under the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue in a Fragmented World, with a focus on cooperation in innovation-led growth and inclusive development. The Swiss federal government, together with the WEF Foundation and its other partners, will contribute to the costs of WEF annual meeting security measures for the period 2025 to 2027 as part of a 3-tier finance model. The attendees include around 200 to 300 internationally protected persons, such as the heads of state and government, ministers, high-level representatives of international organizations. So tight security arrangements have been made for this year's WEF edition. More than 5,000 armed forces personnel, snipers, AI-powered drones and special tools to counter spywares and espionage have been placed around the Swiss alpine town. More than 500 journalists are also at Davos to cover this prestigious event. Meanwhile, demonstrations are also part of this summit. This time, the Swiss government is willing to authorize demonstrations, but it is essential that requirements are made to protect people, infrastructure and property. So in order to hold the demonstration, detailed arrangements need to be made between the organizers and the authorities. India is set to mount its one of the strongest representations at this year's World Economic Forum in Davos, as union ministers, state chief ministers and more than 100 corporate leaders are attending. And what you see here on your screen is the Bharat Pavilion. Union ministers Prahlad Joshi, K. Ram Mohan Naidu, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis are there in Zurich. In a post on X on Sunday, Devendra Fadnavis said that he was deeply touched by the enthusiastic welcome and affectionate traditional greetings given to him at the Zurich airport. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu met World Bank Group President Ajay Banga in Zurich on Monday ahead of the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. The cordial handshake captured in a photo shared by Naidu on X highlighted the discussions that focused on potential investments and development partnerships for the state, likely. Naidu attending WEF 2026 with a delegation including Minister Nara Lokesh is engaging in over 36 programs to showcase Andhra Pradesh's growth vision. And DD India's Preeti Kaur is tracking the story for us. Preeti, India has sent one of its strongest representations at this year's World Economic Forum. What can we expect?
Yes, Tanvi, when we talk of the World Economic Forum that is currently running from January 19 to 23rd in the alpine town of Davos in Switzerland, this year the theme of the summit of the meeting will be spirit for dialogue in a fragmented world. Now, last year the topic of the discussion of the meeting was collaboration for the intelligent age, and given the tough geopolitical situation the world is facing at present, dialogue, the spirit for dialogue is the central theme, and even one of the participants there did say that dialogue in today's world is not a luxury, but instead it is a necessity. When we talk of the theme and when we talk of the theme, then definitely we'll focus on dialogue. Added to that, several other challenges which the world is facing: economic resilience, also rapid technological changes like AI governance, like quantum computing, and also situations in Ukraine and Gaza and other geopolitical crises will also be taken up at the meeting at the forum.
Okay, Indian leaders are expected to participate in great numbers in several panel discussions. There is one planned on can India become the third largest economy in the world? So what are the potential sectors of collaboration India would be looking at the forum?
This is, all right, Tanvi, when we talk of India's participation, then India has sent a very heavyweight delegation. The participants will include 4 union ministers, Ashwini Vaishnav, Union Minister of Railways. The delegation also includes Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Union Minister for Agriculture, Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy, and K. Ram Mohan Naidu, Union Civil Aviation Minister, along with 6 chief ministers and a strong delegation of more than 100 top CEOs of companies in India. The participation, when we talk of participation of India, then it will, as you said, the delegation will participate in the session, can India become the third largest world economy? Added to that, an Indian pavilion had also been constructed, which will be a working hub for all the discussions and the engagements the Indian delegation has at the forum. Added to that, Smriti Irani will also be participating as the founder and chairman of Alliance for Global Good, Gender Equity and Equality. This was already inaugurated or founded, as we may say, a few years back at Davos, and also she will be focusing on women empowerment and also technological developments with regard to women entrepreneurship. Now, this is about India's participation, and also apart from these 2 major events, the delegation will also be participating in a number of bilateral engagements and side events, including sustainability, economic resilience, again, as I said, AI governance, and also other important aspects related to the world order. Tanvi?
Yes, Preeti, let's not also forget that President Trump is returning to Davos after a big gap of 6 years. He is leading the largest US delegation ever to the forum. A lot to expect as Davos braces for the unpredictable Trump. Thank you very much, Preeti Kaur, for reporting on the story. All right, updates next on Ukraine-Russia conflict. Ukraine's top negotiator Rustem Umerov said on Sunday that talks with the US officials on a resolution of the nearly 4-year-old conflict with Russia would continue at the World Economic Forum in the Swiss resort of Davos. Umerov, writing on social media platform Telegram, said 2 days of talks in Florida with the US team, including envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, had focused on security guarantees and a post-war recovery plan for Ukraine. Umerov further said that the 2 sides had discussed in depth the 2 issues, focusing on practical mechanisms and carrying out and implementing them. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in an evening address on Sunday, said that negotiations with the US side would continue next week. He said Kiev was fully informing Washington about the situation on the ground and Russia's continued strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, adding that Moscow showed no real interest in diplomacy. So Ukraine conflict, West Asian crisis will likely, definitely, figure in World Economic Forum this year, but the White House has stated that no bilateral meeting has been scheduled. But we'll have to see in the course of the next few days how the WEF pans out. Moving on now, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni agreed on Monday to expand cooperation in sectors such as artificial intelligence, aerospace, chips, and critical minerals. The 2 leaders also agreed to intensify joint efforts to develop resilient and reliable critical minerals supply chains. They also discussed collaboration in joint research projects and exchanges, tourism and culture cooperation. Both the leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. As per South Korea's presidential office, the Blue House, Italy is one of its 4 largest trading partners in the European Union. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi will officially announce on Monday her plans to dissolve parliament for a snap election, hoping for a stronger mandate to push through her policy agenda. Takaichi is banking on her high poll numbers to lead the ruling Liberal Democratic Party to victory. After signalling her intentions to party officials last week, Takaichi will lay out her plans for a vote expected as early as February 8th during a press conference on Monday. The LDP has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades, albeit with frequent leader changes. Guatemala's president has declared a 30-day state of siege to combat gang attacks that killed several police officers. Gang-led violence targeted police and several areas around Guatemala City after security forces regained control of the Renovation 1 detention center after prisoners took hostage to demand greater privileges for their gang leader. Shortly after control was restored, simultaneous attacks on police officers erupted in and around the capital. Under Guatemalan law, a state of siege can temporarily suspend or limit civil liberties and expand the powers of security forces in response to threats made to public order. A collision between two high-speed trains carrying hundreds of passengers in southern Spain killed at least 39 people and injured more than 152, officials said. In a post on X, the Spain Transport Minister, Oscar Puente, said the impact has been terrible of this accident, causing the first two carriages of the Renfe train to be thrown off as a result. While Spain's Adif rail body said that the train between Malaga and Madrid went off the rails near Cordoba and slammed into a train coming from Madrid to Huelva. Adif has also suspended all rail services between Madrid and Andalusia. According to officials, rescue operations are ongoing and the injured passengers have been taken to 6 different hospitals. Calling it a night of deep pain, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez expressed deep sorrow and offered sincerest condolences over the accident. In a post on X, Pedro said, "Today is a night of deep pain for our country owing to the tragic rail accident in Ademuz. I want to express my sincerest condolences to the families and loved ones of the victims. No word can alleviate such great suffering, but I want them to know that the whole country is by their side in this tough moment." South Africa has declared a national disaster after weeks of heavy rains triggered deadly floods, killing dozens and displacing thousands across the region. South Africa on Sunday declared a national disaster as severe flooding caused by prolonged heavy rainfall killed more than 30 people in Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces. Rivers overflowed, destroying homes, while thousands fled to neighboring Mozambique for safety. Rescue teams are searching for survivors as water levels begin to recede in some areas, including the Kruger National Park, which is set to partially reopen. And very quickly, let's take a look now at what else is making news around the world. In Chile, at least 19 people were killed as uncontrolled wildfires tore through communities. Chilean President Gabriel Boric declared a state of catastrophe in Ñuble and Biobío in the south of the country, authorizing the deployment of armed forces to assist operations. In South Korea, soldiers of the Marine Corps Special Reconnaissance Brigade endure harsh winter drills, lying bare-torsoed on snow and sprinting up icy slopes. The unit launched its first 2-month cold weather training since its formation last July. The highlight sees Marines covertly infiltrating enemy terrain while surveying surroundings, showcasing resilience and tactical readiness in extreme conditions. Firefighters in Karachi began searching on Monday for more than 60 missing people after a massive fire destroyed a shopping mall in Pakistan's most populous city, while the death toll from the disaster rose to 14. The fire started late on Saturday at the multi-story shopping centre and burnt for more than 24 hours, hampering rescue efforts in the densely packed area. You're with us on DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. India celebrates 20 years of service of NDRF, the frontline National Disaster Response Force. And migratory rosy starlings paint Tamil Nadu's Perangulam town pink. Welcome back. Thanks for staying on DD India Newshour with me, Tanvi Taneja. A quick reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. EU looks to avert Trump's Greenland tariffs, prepares retaliation. To mull options at an emergency summit planned in Brussels on Thursday. President Trump to bring broad US footprint to Davos World Economic Forum after a gap of 6 years. India to focus on digital innovation and sustainable energy transitions at the forum. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to visit India later today to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar meets Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister of Poland Radoslaw Sikorski in New Delhi. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan will pay an official visit to India on Monday at the invitation of Prime Minister Modi. This will be his third visit to India since assuming office as UAE President and the fifth in the past decade, reflecting the growing momentum in high-level bilateral engagements between the two countries. The visit is expected to further deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership and allow discussions on regional and global issues of mutual interest. And to discuss UAE President Al Nahyan's visit to India, we have with us Ashok Sajanhar, former Indian senior diplomat. Thank you, Sajanharji, for connecting with us on DD India. First of all, how far would you say the leadership of Prime Minister Modi has played a part in significantly strengthening India-UAE ties in recent years?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Tanvi, and thank you very much for having me on this show. You're very right. I think your first comment is absolutely spot on. Because, when Prime Minister Modi visited the United Arab Emirates, his first visit after coming to office on the 16th of August 2015, I recall very vividly this was the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the UAE in 34 years. And he didn't stop at that only, his first visit. The United Arab Emirates has turned out to be one of the countries where he has traveled the most, 7 times in all, the last being in 2023, February of 2023, where he had gone to inaugurate the BAPS Swaminarayan temple. In fact, it is the first and the only Hindu temple in anywhere in the Middle East. So if we take areas of strategic partnership, because that is what we have, comprehensive strategic partnership with the United Arab Emirates, or we take the area of trade or investments, in all areas, people-to-people connect, it has about 4.3 million people, comprising about 35% of the total population of the United Arab Emirates. So it's a very dynamic relationship that Prime Minister Modi can be given all credit for bringing it to this high level.
Okay, this will be the UAE President's third official visit to India since assuming office, his fifth visit to the country over the past decade. What does this say about the importance the UAE now attaches to its ties with India?
Yeah, I think earlier from the Middle East, from whether it's the Gulf or some of the other countries which are not members of the GCC, they used to look upon India through the prism of Pakistan, through the prism of religion, that they have that sort of congruence as far as Pakistan is concerned. But Prime Minister Modi, after his visits to the Gulf countries and particularly to the United Arab Emirates, he has turned that logic on its head. Now it is basically, India is a very significant buyer of oil. So in terms of trade, in terms of energy, India has emerged as a very important partner, a defense partner, strategic partner with the United Arab Emirates. You're right when you say third visit after becoming the president of the country, and 2 visits when he was the crown prince. And of course, the crown prince of the UAE, crown prince of Dubai, they have also visited India. So I think the relationship is very vibrant. If you look at, maybe just one area, which is an important area, that is of trade. The United Arab Emirates is the third largest trading partner of India. We engaged and entered into a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. That was in 2022. That was finalized in super quick time, and it has been giving us very good results. Today, the bilateral trade is more than $100 billion, about 65 billion coming from the United Arab Emirates to India, the imports, and about $35 billion going from India to the United Arab Emirates. It is the largest in terms of the investments. It has about $25 billion, about the seventh largest to India. So if we look at any of the areas, even in the area of energy, whether it is oil or LPG or LNG, United Arab Emirates is one of the, right at the top. In addition, we are, of course, members of IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, which was launched on the sidelines of India's presidency of the G20 on the 9th of September 2023. We are also members of I2U2, the India, Israel, United Arab Emirates, USA. There's four member grouping. So I think, and also in the area of BRICS, both countries are active members. Maybe the last point I could mention, when India was holding the presidency of G20, then United Arab Emirates was one of the guest countries that had been invited. And of course, the president of UAE, Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed, he had participated in the G20 summit also.
Okay. The UAE president's visit, Mr. Sajjanhar, will start just about after 2 days. The UAE welcomed President Trump's announcement on the formation of the Board of Peace, for which India has also got an invite. So is Gaza likely to be a key point of discussion between the two leaders today? And if so, which aspects do you think are likely to be discussed?
No, definitely. Gaza will be a very important area of discussion between the two sides, because this is something that has been occupying the attention of the whole world. And since India is so very well invested in the area of both energy as well as of security and stability, that will be definitely an area of discussion. Prime Minister Modi has also been invited to be a board member of the Gaza Peace Board. We'll really have to wait and see as to how that evolves. But definitely, as far as India is concerned, it has always maintained, Tanvi, whether it is in the context of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, or it is conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas and the others, that all issues should be settled through the dialogue, through diplomacy, through negotiations coming at the same table. And we have welcomed this, the peace proposals and the peace initiatives to move towards the peace as far as Gaza is concerned. So definitely peace, security, stability in the Middle East will be an important element of the bilateral discussions that take place later today.
Okay, sir, lastly, which specific areas do you think India and the UAE will likely discuss regarding the India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership?
I think first, of course, taking the trade forward, taking investment forward, because we need to recognize also that the United Arab Emirates has promised $75 billion of investment in India's infrastructure, and the sovereign fund group of the United Arab Emirates has already put in $1 billion in the National Infrastructure Investment Fund. So definitely trade and energy supplies, because there is so much of volatility in the global markets. But India continues to be a very stable buyer of energy. And as I mentioned, the United Arab Emirates has emerged as the fourth largest supplier of oil and LPG and LNG. So I think definitely trade, investment, energy, and political strategic partnership, how to take that forward. India has made very many changes in its investment policy. It has also signed a bilateral investment treaty with the United Arab Emirates. So I think this and how to ensure stability and peace in the region, that will these two will be the big ticket items that both the leaders will discuss.
Thank you very much, Ashok Sajjanharji, for giving us a roundup of what to expect of Al Nahyan's visit, which will follow in hours from now. Thank you very much. We'll keep track of what is happening in New Delhi. Moving on, a 4-member Indian delegation led by Sanjeev Kumar, Secretary for Defence Production, is visiting Kenya to enhance bilateral defence manufacturing capabilities. The visit aims to promote India's defence exports and foster industrial cooperation. The highlight will be India's participation in the 3rd India-Kenya Defence Exhibition in Nairobi. The exhibition is organised under the Brand India scheme for Department of Defence Production. The event will witness participation from 20 Indian defence companies from both public and private sectors, showcasing a wide range of defence products and services. Today marks the 21st raising day of the National Disaster Response Force, India's frontline warriors in times of crisis and national disasters. On this day, the NDRF completes 20 years of dedicated service, standing tall as the nation's most trusted national disaster response force.
Every disaster leaves behind destruction, but it also brings forward heroes in uniforms. Today, as the nation marks the 21st raising day of NDRF, India salutes the force that arrives when hope seems lost. Raised on 19th January 2006, the National Disaster Response Force was formed under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. After the devastating lessons of natural calamities made it clear that India needed a specialized rapid response force for disasters. From floods and cyclones to earthquakes, landslides, industrial accidents and building collapses, the NDRF has become the backbone of India's disaster response system. Highly trained, well-equipped and always on standby, NDRF teams are often the first to reach ground zero. In the most hostile conditions, raging waters, unstable debris or collapsed structures, NDRF personnel risk their own lives to save others. Every operation is a race against time, and every life saved is a victory. Over the years, the force has played a crucial role during major disasters across the country, saving thousands of lives and helping communities rebuild after tragedy. Beyond rescue operations, the NDRF also focuses on disaster preparedness and awareness, training civilians and local authorities to respond better when emergencies strike. With specialized battalions, modern equipment and increasing participation of women responders, the NDRF continues to evolve, matching new challenges posed by climate change and urban disasters. Over the years, disaster management has received renewed focus at the national level. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the NDRF has seen great emphasis on capacity building, modern equipment, specialized training and faster deployment. From strengthening early response mechanism to improving coordination with state agencies and armed forces, the government's push has helped the NDRF respond more effectively to large-scale and complex disasters across the country. On this raising day, the nation remembers that when disaster strikes, help is never far away, because for NDRF, service before self is not just a motto, it is a mission. In New Delhi, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended gratitude and appreciation to the National Disaster Response Force on its raising day, sharing pictures of the NDRF personnel engaged in relief and management work. Prime Minister Modi lauded the NDRF personnel for their professionalism and resolve and for always being the front runners in times of calamity. Prime Minister Modi also underscored their efforts to protect lives, provide relief and restore hope. The Prime Minister further described their skills and sense of duty as the epitome of the highest standard of service. He emphasized that the NDRF over the years has emerged as a benchmark in disaster preparedness and response, earning much respect internationally. Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan addressed a press conference in New Delhi on the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Grameen Bill. The minister noted measures taken to strengthen rural employment and improve the effectiveness of the bill.
मनरेगा से 10 करोड़ संपत्तियां बनी, उनमें से 8.5 करोड़ हमने बनाई। मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बनी, अगर बनी तो बेहतर उपयोग करने की कोशिश हुई। मोदी जी तब थे जब कोविड में, मोदी जी जब प्रधानमंत्री तब भी थे, अब भी हैं। कोविड में 1,11,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा की राशि खर्च की गई। मनरेगा को बेहतर उपयोग करने के प्रयास हुए, लेकिन इसमें जो कमियां थी और बेहतर उपयोग करने का प्रयास हुए, इसके प्रमाण ही हैं कि हमने लगभग 9 लाख करोड़ रुपया खर्च किए। कांग्रेस ने कांग्रेस और यूपीए की सरकार ने 2 लाख करोड़ के आसपास खर्च किए थे, लेकिन बावजूद इसके जब लगा कि अपने उद्देश्यों को पूरा नहीं कर पा रही, तब विकसित भारत के लिए विकसित गांव बने। इसलिए ये जी राम जी विकसित भारत जी राम जी योजना आई।
And now we take a look at other stories making news in India. The annual traditional horse race in Vekaria Run, nestled in Gujarat's Kutch Desert, drew thousands of enthusiastic spectators as Kathiawadi and Marwadi horses thundered across the sands, displaying their strength and stamina. Organized by the Kutch Horse Breeders Group, the vibrant event tested riders and steeds alike, while the presence of dignitaries, including public representatives and retired police officers, warmed the traditional horse racing event. Rajasthan is witnessing a massive tourist influx, with Jaipur and Jaisalmer emerging as top hotspots. Thousands of domestic and foreign travellers are flocking daily, giving a strong boost to the state's tourism industry. The Pink City remains the favourite among international visitors, who are captivated by its historic landmarks, rich cuisine and vibrant art and cultural experiences. And thousands of migratory rosy starlings have descended on Perungulam in Tamil Nadu, transforming the area into a spectacular sight. Drawn by the large water tank that attracts numerous birds during the season, more than 10,000 starlings arrive each evening to feed and roost. Their massive presence blankets the tank in a striking pink hue, creating a breathtaking natural spectacle in the South Indian state. You're watching DD India Newshour. Time now for some sporting action. First, updates from tennis. Former world number 1 Daniil Medvedev began his Australian Open campaign with a victory over Jesper de Jong to move into the second round on Monday. Medvedev, a 3-time Australian Open finalist, is hoping to use the momentum from his title win in Brisbane. Medvedev secured a straight-set win over de Jong in tough sunny conditions, which saw numerous breaks of serve. Medvedev got the job done in a hard-fought third set, which he clinched through an emphatic backhand winner just before the hour mark. Other notable winners who have advanced to the second round are home favourite Alex de Minaur and 13th seed Andrei Rublev. 6-seeded Alex de Minaur of Australia cruised past Mackenzie McDonald 6-2, 6-2, 6-3 in 1 hour and 48 minutes, while Andrei Rublev of Russia captured a 6-4, 6-2, 6-3 triumph over Italy's Matteo Arnoldi. Meanwhile, Felix Auger-Aliassime suffered heartbreak on Monday as his campaign ended prematurely when he quit his first-round match with cramps. The 7-seed won the opening set 6-3 against Nuno Borges of Portugal, but then lost the next two 6-4, 6-4 before retiring. Next to Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime was the hottest player on the ATP Tour in the closing months of 2025. In women's singles third seed, Coco Gauff advanced to the second round of the Australian Open with a 6-2, 6-3 win over Kamila Rakimova at the Rod Laver Arena, despite familiar serving struggles, including 6 double faults in the first set. The 21-year-old American showed enough power and composure to seal victory. Gauff has 2 Grand Slam titles to her name, but she has never gone beyond the semi-final stage at the Melbourne Park. Gauff will next face left-hander Olga Danilovic, who defeated veteran Venus Williams in her opener, ending hopes of an all-American clash. Further, Amanda Anisimova began her quest for a third consecutive Grand Slam final with a ruthless straight sets win. The 4th seed from the United States overpowered Simona Wohlert of Switzerland 6-3, 6-2 in an hour on Margaret Court Arena. She sealed an emphatic victory with an ace. Australia have announced a 17-member squad for their for their 3-match T20 series against Pakistan from January 29th as part of their preparations for the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. Tens of Australian World Cup players are part of the squad. Injured trio Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood and Tim David have been given extra time to build up their fitnesses. Star all-rounder Glenn Maxwell has also rested for the tour to help manage their workloads ahead of the World Cup. The team will begin its T20 World Cup campaign on February the 11th against Ireland in Colombo. The 3-day-long hot air balloon festival organized in Hyderabad by the Telangana Tourism Development Corporation has emerged as a major winter attraction, drawing large crowds during this festive season. Take a look at our next report.
As the winter sun slowly rises over Hyderabad, the city's skyline transforms into a canvas of color. Dozens of hot air balloons gently float into the morning sky, adding a magical charm to the early hours and turning it into a visual spectacle for residents and tourists alike. Organized by the Telangana Tourism Development Corporation, the 3-day Hyderabad Hot Air Balloon Festival emerged as a major winter attraction, drawing large crowds during the festive season. Drifting peacefully above the city, the balloons offer a rare aerial perspective of Hyderabad, where centuries-old heritage blends seamlessly with modern landscapes.
We've come to Hyderabad to fly balloons. We've already done a few flights and we've really had a good time, and I'm really looking forward to this flight. It's off of the Hyderabad golf course. The grass is perfect to fly from, and the wind directions are really nice this morning, so we should have a really good time. It should be a really good flight. It's my first time in Hyderabad, first time in India. So to come to Hyderabad in the centre-ish of England, of India, is a perfect place to start.
As the balloons lifted off, spectators on the ground watched in awe, capturing photographs, videos and memories against the morning sky.
I'm really happy to witness the hot air ballooning show. It's really amazing, and my kids, they loved it actually. And it's a great initiative by Telangana government. First time in Telangana seeing such a huge balloons. All are excited, and it's really pretty to see all these balloons, and that too early in the morning in the sunrise. Wow.
With colourful balloons soaring overhead, smiles on every face and a cool winter breeze adding to the festive atmosphere, the Hyderabad Hot Air Balloon Festival, which concluded on Sunday, proved to be a delight for many.
With that story of Hyderabad Hot Air Balloon Festival, we wind up this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks ahead on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.